Well, it's been a while since I've done something like this, huh? Given the title, you already know what this is about, so I'm just gonna cut to the chase. Earlier this year, I was involved in some really nasty drama where I admitted that I was guilty of some pretty terrible stuff. I've been told that it's best to not name drop anyone as they don't want to be involved in this anymore and they don't want any unwanted attention over this incident. I didn't try to groom any children for sex or LARP with any minors, so I'm not a pedophile, but I did, however, use a sock puppet account on Twitter to try and X someone into speaking with me, which I couldn't do with my original Twitter since they had me blocked. They figured out very quickly that it was me trying to manipulate them, and in turn they made a Twitter thread calling me out. I tried to cover it up and even tried convincing another person on Discord that this wasn't me. Eventually, this reached word to a Discord group I was a part of, and they were very quick to confront me over what I was doing. After I realized I couldn't hide what I was doing any longer, I confessed to my actions. They were not happy with what I was doing. After sorting out what was happening with the person I was sock puppeting, I had an intervention with my Discord group over what I did. At the end of the call, we all came to the rightful conclusion that the best thing for me to do was to distance myself from social media for an extended period of time. It wasn't something I was really keen on at first, but I understood that it was for the best. I was told that I had to focus on other things going on in my life, and I believed it would be easier if I kept my mind off of working on YouTube stuff. And so started my long hiatus from social media. I made a community post alerting members of my audience to my decision and that it was best for me to take a break from this field. And in the last 8 months, I've been through quite a lot. The first noteworthy thing was trying to expand my work opportunities at my workplace. I asked the store manager about receiving not only more work hours but more work days in a week. It was a long and tiring process that exercised my patience, but I was able to get through it. Over the last several months, I made steps to be more active and more reliable at work. Sometimes they would ask me to work an extra hour or an extra day that wasn't put on my schedule that week. And I said yes whenever it was possible for me to do extra work. It showed how I was able to be flexible while at my workplace, and the supervisor started commenting on how impressive it was that I could make up for extra time. Eventually, I started to receive more work hours and more days. I'm actually up to about 5 work days a week now. There was even this one supervisor in particular who came to me and congratulated me on the many improvements I made over the last several months. She was actually relocating to another store, which meant I wouldn't be seeing her anymore. On her last day of work, I came up to her congratulating her on her relocation, and I talked about how it meant a lot to me that she really believes that I've improved a lot. We shook hands, went our separate ways, and I felt pretty good about it. A few weeks later, another supervisor had a card for me at the service desk, and I opened it to see that it was from the supervisor who relocated. She actually wrote a very nice message to me, congratulating me, telling me how proud she was, all the usual stuff. You know how we usually have that feeling in the back of our heads where our parents or relatives tell us we're doing a good job and it's like, oh, you're just saying that because you're my mom, dad, grandpa, aunt, uncle, etc. So to receive this reception from an unrelated third party really meant something to me. It means that I really have been making strides to improve myself. I mean, if this was said by a supervisor who hired me to do a paid job, it must be true, right? They even gave me my yearly performance review and commented on all the areas that I've improved on. It just feels so wild because it feels like it happened in such a short amount of time. Maybe that's why it feels so rewarding. And another thing I was able to accomplish was getting to talk to a licensed therapist after 10 years of trying to find one. It's a really long and grueling story that would take way too much time to explain. But the important thing is I found someone to talk to. Someone who wants to take the time to understand me better. We've talked about a lot of things and he's given me some really good advice to help me understand myself better. Things like feeling comfortable with my job, coping mechanisms for abuse I faced in school, having a better sense of control over my life, strengthening my relationship with my family, engaging in more social interaction, and I felt a lot of relief while talking to him about these things. I'm still seeing him and I still have a lot of ideas for topics to talk about, and I feel like me and Mom have finally found someone who actually cares about helping us instead of themselves. I've also gotten a chance to catch up on my fitness. I just got up to 200 squats and 53-pound barbell curls, 150 lifts broken up in sets of 10. It definitely wasn't easy. It was all about pushing myself to get more fit and in better shape. But I also have someone on Discord who's offering to help me out by giving me pointers to get stronger. I'm actually hoping to get up to 65-pound barbell curls before the end of the year. And as I said earlier, I've been working on managing relationships with my family as part of my goals with therapy. I've been spending more time with Dad, who's been doing really well, setting up lunch outings with my aunt and uncle, visiting with my grandpa to help paint his porch, spending quality time with my mother and sister. It's been a lot of fun. I really have been feeling closer with my folks over the last couple of months, and I look forward to getting closer to them in the future. Honestly, 2022 has been a really mixed bag for me. It just feels like so much happened in such a small amount of time. And not just for me, but the whole world. I'm guessing you've been watching more of the news lately, so I think it's a safe bet you know what kind of headlines and topics I'm referring to. It's definitely not good. It's just getting a lot crazier out there. Almost like 2020 2.0. Stuff like that just really makes you wonder if you have any actual control over your life, you know what I'm saying? Granted, people have found ways to cope with it, but there's only so much they can do at this point. I had a feeling it was gonna get bad, but it still blows me away how badly things just spiraled out of control. I've gotten used to hearing the bad news, though that doesn't make it any better. The important thing is that I focus on things that I do have control over. My fitness, my therapy sessions, my job, my family relations, sorting stuff out in my life in general. And I feel much better knowing I'm at least getting those things under control. Of course, I still think about what happened earlier this year and how horribly I messed up. I know it's not something I can just ignore, and I at least owe a full explanation to my audience. What I did earlier this year was wrong. It was very, very wrong. And it was entirely my fault. I burned through a lot of goodwill I built up over the years, and I have to accept responsibility for it. Obviously, the most expected and logical thing for me to do would be apologizing for what I did. But I know it won't be that simple. Even when I do, there's gonna be a lot of people taking it with a grain of salt due to the severity of what I did. And I don't blame them for feeling that way. What I did was completely indefensible. There is zero excuse for what I did. I should have been setting a better example for my audience, and not everyone is going to forgive me so easily. Not everything is going to go back to the way it was before, that's just me thinking unrealistically. I can't hide from what I did, I have to be upfront about it. And to prove to myself that I will never allow something like this to happen again, I have deleted my Twitter. I'm leaving that website behind me, and I'm never going back to it. I ended up proving that I can't be trusted with a Twitter account, so I decided it was best to just get rid of it. And I honestly don't even know why I kept it for so long with all the times I talked about it being a horrible website. I guess it was time that I finally stuck to what I meant when I said those things. Of course, I know that just deleting my Twitter isn't going to be enough. I have to come forward and try to apologize to the community whose trust I betrayed. There's no other way for me to put it except, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry to the friends I hurt through my actions. I'm sorry I was being dishonest and manipulative with my followers. I'm sorry I allowed things to go this far out of my own stupidity and incompetence. I'm sorry I acted irrationally. I'm sorry I acted badly on my impulses. And as for the person that I sock puppeted on Twitter, I am making well on my promise to not contact them ever again. I've made no attempt to message them, talk to them, draw any attention from them, or anything else that would cause them to think I was coming after them. They don't want anything to do with me anymore, and I don't want anything to do with them. It's best for both of us to just move on from the incident and focus on our own channels and our own lives. So where do I go from here? What do I do after everything that happened this year? I guess the simplest answer is to keep doing whatever I can. And that involves getting back into the business of providing reviews and stuff for my audience, while still keeping track of stuff in my life, of course. I already promised my audience a lot of things, and I do still have a passion for making content on YouTube. I know I've disappointed a lot of people, but the best I can do is learn from what happened and try to move forward from it. I don't know what's going to happen after this, but all I can really do is just try to push myself to keep going. So for the rest of the year, I've got a couple of things planned in terms of reviews and maybe some joke videos to tide people over. Also to help keep my channel active because who knows how much I've fallen behind with this dumb algorithm after 8 months of inactivity. In September, there will be a ranking of every Kingdom Hearts game from worst to best. In October, there will be a video talking about Arthur and reflecting on the impact it had on viewers. In November, I will be releasing my review of Mass Effect 3, deconstructing the many problems with its story. And finally in December, I will be making a video to commemorate the 5th anniversary of The Last Jedi. What will it be about? Well, I'll just keep that part a secret for now. It won't be a 3-hour-long review, just letting you know that now. There's still a lot of other things I would like to do. My re-review of the G5 MLP movie, my big review of The Rise of Skywalker, addressing my online harassers, reviewing the recent G5 comics when the rest of the storyline comes out. Oh my god, what did you people do to Discord? Maybe even reviews of some things that came out last year to look back on the stupid stuff that happened while I was away. But these are all things that are going to be done long term. Getting back to being active on YouTube again is going to be tricky after being gone for so long, but I guess it's just something that I have to deal with. It's going to be a really long road, but I do have a new resolve to face it, and I'll come across that bridge when I come to it. Lastly, you might have noticed that I have a new name, and I may no longer be going by MisAnthro Pony. The first assumption people will probably make is that I'm trying to stay undercover after the trouble I got into. But anyone who thinks that's the reason is an idiot. The thing is, I always intended to change my name at some point since MisAnthro Pony just feels like a name I've been falling out of. It honestly just sounds like some dumb thing I came up with while I was going through an edgy phase. I didn't change my name sooner because I couldn't think of anything else at the time. Another reason is that MisAnthro Pony has that unfortunate acronym to it because humanity is made up of sick fucks. It was something I came up with in 2014, long before the pedos and groomers and sympathizers started using it. So, honestly, I should be suing them for the rights. But in all seriousness, I've talked about rebranding with a few friends, and they agree that it's the best alternative since there are in fact people who have been using that acronym to falsely accuse me of something that I'm not. It's just a matter of getting used to the change. It shouldn't be hard, though it might be a bit confusing at first. I just hope my audience will be able to recognize me. I have a lot to do to make up for lost time, but it shouldn't be too difficult as long as I'm willing to put time and hard work into it. Either way, I'll be seeing you around.